Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And I encourage everyone who is in the faith to watch this stream, which is done by the Apostle Gabar. The title is here. You can go to his channel, the GMS Walk and Talk 8, and you can view this video. You know, given that we are on the precipice of the Passover, you know, which is spoken of in the scriptures, man. This video really does put the Passover in this proper light and perspective, and spurs much meditation, righteous meditation, man, and thought. Okay, I just want to quickly go into this word solemn for those who may not know, because you do have these other Israelite camps who pretty much have gone into the wicked ways of old. They've picked up where the wicked of our forefathers left us, because pretty much to them the Passover just became a thing to do. You know, they didn't understand the spiritual ramifications of meaning behind the Passover. And these guys are doing the same thing. It's just a thing to do. They don't take it serious, and they don't take it spiritual, which is why they use the Passover as an excuse to fulfill the lust of the flesh rather than soothe the spirit. Okay, rather than feeding the spirit. Now we know this, the Passover is solemn assembly. We also know that the Passover in Egypt, okay, was a precursor to the ultimate Passover, which is in Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai is that lamb that is slain, you know, was slain and risen, and his blood was spilt so that an elect of Israel would be passed over by the angels of death in the days of judgment, you know, which the judgment would be for the transgressions for sin, because the wages of sin is death, but Yahweh Shai paid for the sins of the elect with his blood, and therefore it's a Passover. Now when you look at the word solemn, I just want to go into the definition, because there's a lot of words in here which show you that these guys are going off when they're turning the Passover into an Israelite party. They're actually singing songs calling it an Israelite party. They're basically using the Passover as some form of hookup for a man to get a wife. IOIC do that, and ISUPK do that. Now you ain't supposed to be going to the Passover thinking about getting a wife, man, like it's some club, or which you ain't gonna get no damn wife in the club anyway, but trying to basically get some pussy. All right, that's not what the Passover is about. That's not what is supposed to invoke in your spirit. Now the word solemn goes back to being formal and dignified. All right, so the solemn feast days of the Lord should be formal and dignified. They're separate from other functions, man, like you're just having a cookout for the hell of it. These are separate things. They're formal, they're dignified, they're serious, which we're going to get to that. So formal and dignified, i.e. a solemn procession. Ceremonious, so there's ceremony involved. Stately, courtly, majestic, awe-inspiring, splendid, magnificent, grand, important. Formal, okay. Now you go down, it says not cheerful or smiling. Now what does it mean by that? Because does that mean, now you might be you might come into this thing and you're happy to receive your heritage, your heritage back, so you might be happy that you get to keep the Passover. That's not evil, but overall the Passover is not a thing of being cheerful or playing or being, you know, that's not the tone of the Passover. The tone is a serious tone, because serious matters are being dealt with, i.e. life and death. In fact, we are in the midst of a great Passover,
and it's a serious thing. This ministry itself, this walk itself, is a serious matter. Just like the sacrifice, the sacrificing of that lamb, and the specifics, man. Because when you go into the Passover, the Lord dealt with specific instructions, man. Just like in the New Testament, specific instructions are given unto us that we may be passed over by the blood of the lamb. The same thing happened in Egypt. You had to put it on the lintel, I believe it was called, and you were the 2 posts. It was very specific. You couldn't leave the house until morning. There were specific instructions that the Lord gave to Moses and Aaron, and showing you the order. Then Aaron and Moses gave those instructions to the people. So the Lord always dealt with order. All right. And it was specific. So that's something even to meditate on, that we've been given instructions to follow and obedience, which is this doctrine, which is this ministry. All right. So it's a serious thing. Earnest, grave, sober, somber. Okay, serious. This is life and death. That when you come into this truth, man, the first thing you're gonna realize is you're a dead man. You are worthy of death, man. You are a sinner, and the sentence of death is upon you. Now, the good news is that if you take heed unto the gospel and perform the sacrifices of righteousness and faith, that the Yahushai, okay, will spare you that judgment. Okay, but it's a serious matter. This is not a joke thing. And the Passover is supposed to further compound that meditation, which brings me back down to let me see if I can actually, what's the source for this? Because when you go into more, it's supposed to go into being thoughtful or deep in thought. Here we go, causing serious thoughts. This is a serious thing that we're in. It's life or death. Okay. Give me a second. I want to find, because there's a bit where it goes into it a bit more. I don't know why it's coming up different on the PC than it does on the phone. It just oh, here it is, Salakia. So when you click more, it tells you this: to be thoughtful, preoccupied. So the Passover is a solemn feast day. The Passover, you're supposed to be preoccupied in thought at the spiritual meaning of the Passover. All right, that's why it's solemn. Now, if you're thinking about getting a wife and the lamb and all this stuff, and you ain't deep in thought, man, you ain't preoccupied in the spiritual understanding of the Passover. Okay, it's not just a lamb dinner like the apostles say. Deep in thought. Okay, so the Passover, you're supposed to be deep in thought, pensive, meditative, contemplative, introspective, studious, owlish, which the apostle Gabal always deals with the owl. All right, also characterized by deep sincerity. So just looking up the word solemn should show you that it's when you deal with these solemn feast days, you're supposed to be in deep thought regarding those feast days, especially the Passover, considering the spiritual ramifications that the Passover has over us, seeing as the scripture mentioned Yahushua as being the Passover. All right. I was going to get that, but let me get straight to the point. And like I said, you can watch the Apostle Gabar's video, man, because that video will invoke great meditation on the subject, man. You know that, and it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. And that's the problem with, you see, Jake don't like being serious, man. Jake wanna be comfortable. Jake wanna play all the time, man. You know, you got to take raw, man. It's better for you. 1 Corinthians 5:7, purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump as ye are unleavened. For even Christ, which is really Yahushai, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. So, like I said, man, we're really in like a giant reflection of the Passover, man. And we're at the point where we're trying to follow the instructions laid down so that the death can pass over us, man. Lest the death befall us, man. It's a serious matter. And we should be meditating on that. That's what it means by solemn. Not an Israelite party, man. Point blank period. So like I said, check this video out here. You know, and everything is going to be explained in the spirit, man. Okay, shalom.